Tonight on KGW News.
Get on the ground or do it now!
Vancouver police arrest a sex offender they say struck again, this time targeting a 12-year-old girl. Plus,
I'm really heartbroken. I take it pretty much every day.
riders worry as TriMet announces big changes to try and trim its budget. And later, the move to make women feel safer the next time they hail an Uber.
You would not believe how many women tell me when they get in the car, like, oh, I'm so glad you were my driver.
Good evening, everyone. We want to get right to breaking news and what appears to be a complicated homicide investigation unfolding right now in Vancouver. Tonight, 2 people are dead, with the scene extending to multiple homes on Northeast 22nd Street, just west of 138th, that is not far from Evergreen High. Catherine Cook is live at the Vancouver Police East Precinct. So, Catherine, what do we know?
Very little tonight, David, in terms of what led up to the shooting, but what a terrifying evening for neighbors as this all unfolded. Police responded around 6:15 tonight after a man called 911. He told police that a man carrying a shotgun, someone he didn't know, had broken into his home through a window and attacked him. Fortunately, the guy who lives there escaped, but police say he was injured in the fight. Officers checked homes in the area and found 2 more victims, a man and a woman, near the initial victim's home. The woman was dead and the man was injured. Police also found a man who matched the description of the gunman dead in a home from what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police kept everyone far away from the crime scene as neighbors processed what was happening.
It's terrifying. My parents live here. They're retired, peaceful. I grew up in this neighborhood and we never had anything remotely close to something like this happening. So, it kind of worries me thinking, they might be at risk.
Police tell us they don't believe there's any further threat to the public. The 2 surviving victims were taken to the hospital for treatment. Vancouver's Major Crimes Unit is investigating. David, back to you.
Catherine Cook in Vancouver this evening. Thanks, Catherine. A reminder, if you or someone you know is struggling, know that help is available 24/7. Just call or text 988. That is the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, which provides confidential support and crisis resources. Again, that number is 988. All right, to Idaho now, where Brian Coberger was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms in prison this morning after he pleaded guilty to the murders of 4 college students, all to avoid the death penalty. Today, the families and friends of the young people killed, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogan, and Ethan Chapin, had a chance to confront their killer. Sebastian Robertson reports from Boise.
From vitriol to forgiveness, a total of 15 speakers addressed the court today, some in person, others in written statements. Most were aimed at Brian Coberger directly.
Hands shackled and an inmate orange, Brian Coberger sat devoid of emotion through hours of testimony, denouncing his admitted crimes and at times him personally.
He took the version of me who didn't constantly ask, what if it happens again? What if next time I don't survive?
For the first time, we heard from the 2 surviving roommates of 1122 King Road. Both were home at the time of the killings.
He is a hollow vessel, something less than human. A body without empathy, without remorse. He chose destruction. He chose evil. He feels nothing.
Family of Xana, Madison, and Kaylee all delivered victim impact statements. The family of Ethan Chapin did not attend the hearing. Rage came from the father of Kaylee Gonzalez.
You're not worth the time, the effort to be remembered. In time, you will be nothing but 2 initials forgotten to the wind.
Kaylee's big sister Olivia did not mince words, vowing to not let her anger feed a man she described as a beast.
Let me be very clear. Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your ass.
Among the raw emotions, there were moments of grace, notably from Xana's mother, who, through her faith, washed her hands of her daughter's killer.
Jesus has allowed me to forgive you for murdering my daughter, without you even being sorry. This forgiveness has released me from any and all evil you have inflicted on me and my family.
Of note, the judge did not stop the proceedings at any point, allowing the victims to speak for as long as they needed. Before delivering his sentence, the judge says he hopes that Brian Coberger's 15 minutes of fame is over. In Boise, I'm Sebastian Robertson.
And tonight, newly unsealed documents also give some insight into Coberger's behavior after he was arrested, though ultimately they fell short of answering the question of why he committed his crimes. Police interviewed a Latah County jail inmate who was in the cell next to Coberger's. He called him, quote, intelligent and polite for the most part, but then said Coberger quickly became annoying because of some of his habits, saying he would, quote, wash his hands dozens of times a day and spend 45 minutes to an hour in the shower. He also mentioned, quote, Coberger would be awake almost all night. Detectives asked if the inmate, if, quote, Coberger ever mentioned anything about his crimes. The man said Coberger did not mention the murders. We have much more from today, including the victims' families' full statements available anytime on our YouTube channel or on our streaming TV app. That is KGW+. All right, tonight we are tracking a new wildfire that popped up this afternoon in Klickitat County on the Washington side of the gorge. The Brewer Road Fire, as it's called, has a wide area from the community of Klickitat to Wakayakas. It's at the top of your screen here under level 3 go now evacuation orders. Right now, early estimates have this fire at just over 50 acres. Well, meanwhile, some 10 miles to the southwest as the crow flies, crews are making more progress on the Burdoyne fire that's between Bingen and Lyle. It is now 13% contained. That's up from 5 last night. Firefighters say they build what they called defensible spaces around homes. Over 11,000 acres have now burned, and Washington's governor plans to visit the area tomorrow morning. We will stream his remarks live at 10:30, also on KGW+. Let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Matt Sfino, tracking the latest on those winds in those wildfire areas. Matt?
Yeah, David, they've really dropped off tonight, as was expected. Here's the Dalles right now. Winds only 7 miles an hour. That's great. We like to see them below 10 miles an hour. Other wind observations in the gorge, similar. Lyle only 5 miles an hour. Hood River and Underwood calm. That site at the eastern edge of the Hood River Valley, notoriously windy. They're always up there with the Dalles. Everybody else seeing lighter winds, which is exactly what we want to see, especially because the winds will be ramping up again tomorrow. Now, down in southern Oregon, bigger concerns because we're likely going to get more lightning tomorrow. The fuels, the forest, the vegetation, very dry down there. So there is a fire weather warning out for eastern Klamath County, Lake County, a little bit of Harney County as well for tomorrow, and then a fire weather watch for Friday as the conditions will remain the same down that way. You can see where the thunderstorm threat is across that southeastern third, if you will, of the state. This is for tomorrow, so we'll be watching that very carefully. Smoke, that is moving away from the valley here, but you can see where the fires are. There's the Burdoyne fire producing smoke along the gorge, and then the Orleans complex down in Northern California also producing smoke around Western Oregon and Northern California too, and into Eastern Oregon. So tonight, clear. Becomes more humid overnight. We call that humidity recovery. That's great. Light winds, these are all things that firefighters want to see. Tomorrow, though, thunderstorms in southern Oregon, as we discussed, that could be problematic down south for the fires in the gorge. That's not an issue, but the winds will be picking up. And as we go into Friday and the weekend, those gusty winds and low humidity will continue. David?
All right, Matt. Thanks. Appreciate it. Developing tonight, Vancouver detectives have arrested a 24-year-old sex offender for the rape of a 12-year-old girl, and they say they believe he could have other victims. Alma McCarty's in the newsroom with the latest. Alma?
Well, David, we want to start off by saying some of the details in this story may be difficult to hear. The suspect, Suleiman Abdul Hadi, was already listed as a level 3 sex offender before this alleged incident. That level 3 designation meaning he was likely to reoffend.
Up. Get on the ground or do it now!
On July 18th, officers with the Vancouver Police Department served a warrant on Northeast 143rd Avenue.
Get on the ground right now! On the ground, you're under arrest!
The suspect, identified as Suleiman Abdul Hadi, accused of giving alcohol to a preteen before raping her at this residence. Court documents also allege the 24-year-old had sex with a 15-year-old girl days prior. Before the incident, the teens were communicating with him, documents say, on Snapchat.
What is going on? Yeah.
Okay. Lay down on the ground. Face first on the ground.
Investigators say Abdul Hadi was on GPS surveillance and is a known sex offender, restricted from being around minors. In addition to charges of rape and supplying liquor to minors, he's also charged for failing to register as a sex offender. Detectives releasing this mugshot of Abdul Hadi because they believe there may be, quote, numerous other child victims, specifically young girls ages 11 to 17.
Abdul Hadi is currently behind bars at the Clark County Jail. David, back to you.
Thanks, Alma. Appreciate reporting on a tough story here. We should note, if you or someone you know has been sexually assaulted, help is available 24/7. You can call the National Sexual Assault Hotline. That number is here, 800-656-4673. Well, today, Governor Kotek laid out her plan for a slimmed-down transportation bill a day after she ordered lawmakers back to Salem for a special session. The governor's plan includes a 6-cent increase in the gas tax, a $42 hike in vehicle registration fees, and a $139 increase for title fees. Electric vehicles, you'd see an additional $30 fee. The governor says these are essential to cover ODOT's funding and to avoid layoffs. Republicans questioning another proposed jump in the gas tax. That special session, by the way, is scheduled for the Friday before Labor Day weekend. Meanwhile, TriMet is hoping that transportation package passes after it announced major service cuts today that could be even worse if the funding does not come through. Catherine Cook took a look at the changes.
I'm really heartbroken. I take it pretty much every day.
For Antonio Leja and other bus riders, word spread quickly Wednesday.
I think it's really concerning if they're trying to cut back on providing buses.
TriMet announced it was facing a projected $300 million budget gap and would need to make cuts. That includes reducing bus frequency on several lines, eliminating some low ridership lines, and shortening the Max Green line.
I don't have a car. My partner and I just use public transit, so the thought of stuff being cut just really sucks.
Today is a very sad day for TriMet.
TriMet GM Sam DeSue painted a grim financial picture of the agency, one staring down a fiscal cliff if they don't make budget reductions and create new revenue sources.
I am going to ask the governor to help us in any way possible, because again, we do not want to affect the public.
DeSue said lawmakers' failure to pass a transportation funding bill last session added to their budget crisis.
Honestly, I'm not surprised that they're cutting service, because if you don't fund transit.
But TriMet admits even if they had passed the funding bill, it wouldn't have eliminated all their financial challenges. That includes 50% higher operating costs since the pandemic and a $55 to $60 million annual drop in fare revenue. Riders suggested other contributing factors.
Not just the pandemic, but drug and homelessness might impact how safe people feel riding a bus.
DeSue said TriMet has tripled their budget for security costs the last 2 years.
We need riders. We need you to come back to TriMet. Those that left us, come back and try us, and you'll find out how we have turned the ship.
The first cuts are scheduled for late November, but TriMet hasn't specified which lines and routes will go. So riders wait for their rides and for answers.
But I'm flexible. I have working feet, right? So I can take another bus and walk longer.
In downtown Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.